Alright, my friends, let's get this bad boy up and running and doing some awesome stuff. So we have our list program, our random color generator created. Now we want to have it that when we click on our icons here or use our Makey Makey that we have an interaction. So in this case, we're going to code this in a way that when we press the buttons, it triggers a Makey Makey switch, which then will show some animation here on the screen that mimics which basketball that we are referencing. So we're going to click down here on this red basketball to begin. And what we're going to do is head down here to the extensions, and we're going to add the Makey Makey. And we've got these two blocks here. So now what we're going to do is a couple things. We are going to drag this Makey Makey block over. Alright, now I'm going to be using the back of the Makey Makey. You can use the up, down, the left, and right is probably the easiest. I'm using the back, the W, A, S, D, F, and G, just because the wires tend to stick in there better. And I'm also using the S as my start button. So it's just, I got everything wired on the back as you'll see in the video when you look at the project being used. So in this case, I know that I want my red basketball to be G on the keyboard because that's what's going to trigger my Makey Makey. Like I said, this could be up for you, whatever it is that makes sense for you. And what we're going to do is I want to, in this case, my basketball doesn't have another costume. So if I go to costumes, it's just a basketball. Depending on your animation, the other one that I have, the first one I created, Krabby Says, the starfish actually have different animations. And so I could have it over here in the code. I could have it go right here and switch costume. And I could go from costume A to costume B or whatever it might be. But because the basketball doesn't have that, I still want to mimic that the basketball is being selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size by 25. I'm going to put a weight block in here. So there is a bit of a weight, just enough to slow things up, but not too much. So just a quarter of a second. And then I want this to go right back to normal. And so we're going to we have this set size here at 150%, and we're going to move this back to 150. Okay, so it's going to increase it by 25, and then it's going to move it back. So it's going to expand and go back, and that's what we want it to do. And the last part we're going to do here is we're going to broadcast, and this time we're going to broadcast to color, so we're familiar with this. So I'm just going to call this red. Alright, so I'm going to drag that down to my backpack, and then I'm just going to drag this over. Then the only things that I have to change is the keyboard press. So for my blue, I'm using the F, and then I'm going to broadcast blue. And then I'm going to do the same thing here for my green one. I'm going to make green for me D. And we're going to broadcast green. And then last but not least, last basketball here. I'm going to make this A. And then I'm going to make this broadcast, you guessed it, white. Alright, so we've got all that ready to go. So it's going to send a signal. We're not going to see anything happen yet. But you can see if I press on the keyboard right now, the A, how the basketball gets bigger. Now if we wanted something a little more flamboyant, we could add a little bit of, we could change the color. But then you got to bring it back, and you can add other elements. So if I wanted to, I could change the color, and then I could bounce it back if I wanted. So whatever you would want to do. So you can see here, let's just do the white so you can kind of see this. We're going to change that All right, and then what we could do is we could clear all graphic effects and then broadcast. So let's see what this does here with the white when we press A. So you see how it changes the color by 25%. Let's make this 80. See what it does. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now let's jump over to our main sprite that's doing the color code. In this case, we have Andy here. And so now we have to put in when I receive the colors. Okay, and this is going to help us get all this figured out here. And so we're going to just go down here. We're going to go to the broadcast. So when I receive, all right, when I receive, this case, red, we'll just go right in order of our color. So when I receive red, we're going to throw in a if block, if then else. If, okay, now we got to throw some logic in. So what we're going to be doing here is checking to see that if the button pressed is equal to the right sequence, it's either then going to allow us to move on or it's going to kick us out to say the game is over. And so what we're going to be doing here is putting in an operator. We're going to put in an equal block, all right in here. And we're going to go to our variables. And what we're going to put in here, down here with our list, if item 1 of sequence. Oh, we lost our block there. If item 1 of sequence equals 1. What this block means right here, if I press red, it's going to check this number right here. It's not number 1, so therefore we have 4, so it would actually kick us out. If it was correct, so I click white, which is number 4, and it checks that it's 4 and it's equal, then what it's going to do then is we want it to actually delete that color from the sequence, that number. And we want it to be able to check the next one in line. So we're going to delete number 1 of sequence. That's this number 1 right here, not these numbers, the sequence. Number 1 is going to delete it. And just so we want to make sure that we have a sound, we want to make sure that it's actually working, we're going to play a sound. And we'll do a basketball bounce. That seems to make sense. You can pick any sound you want. All right, and then what we could do is we're going to change the basketball up here to the color that we just typed in. So as we're pushing the buttons, it'll correlate with the basketball of the sprite down here, and it'll change the pattern up here as well. And so what we're going to do then, because we're already in Andy's element here, we're going to switch the costume to red. Now, so we don't have to write a whole bunch of code over and over again in this else. We're going to do something that maybe you haven't seen before, and we're going to actually create our own block called game over. So what we can do is if we push a button now, if this doesn't work, if this is not equal, then it's going to come down here and it's going to kick us out and say the game is over. So we're going to go down here to my blocks. And this is something that I'm just now starting to use, and I really, really like it. We're going to go here to game block, and we're going to call this game over. And you can see that over here now we've got this block that shows up called define game over. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create a sequence of code that's going to kick us out of the game when we guess wrong and take us back to the start screen and kind of end everything. And so what we're going to do then is we're going to play a sound. We're going to start a sound here. Let's find a new one. Let's load one up. Let's go for, I like disconnect. It's kind of like a sound that reminds me of being wrong. Almost a little jingle from almost Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You're wrong. All right, we're going to have Andy tell us that we are wrong. So we're going to say wrong guess, game over. And then we're going to put in an if block in here. Now be patient with me on this one, because this is going to be maybe some new learning for you. So if we pick the wrong color, it's going to play that noise. Andy's going to tell us we're wrong. And we're going to put something in here to see. We're going to put in what's called a cloud variable, something new. And in this case, this is going to write a little code that's going to check to see if the score that the player was able to achieve was the high score. And if it is, it's going to ask for their name and store it. And if it isn't, then it loses it. So what we're going to do here is put in another operator. So check this out. This is so cool. All right, so if right down here we need a new variable, we're going to make a variable here called score. All right, and we are going to put that right here, and we don't need to show it, but if score, and then we're going to make a new variable called high score. And I'm going to call this Andy says high score. And we're going to make this a cloud variable. It's going to store it on the Scratch server. Okay. And we're going to be in good shape there. So if the score that we score is higher than Andy's score, we're going to ask. We're going to go down here to sensing, and we're going to ask, what's your name? But we're going to tell you that it's a new high score, so you know, new high score. What's your name? And then we are going to create one more variable called name. And we're going to set the name to your answer. So we're going to go here to sensing. We don't want Andy's high score. We want name right there. And then out of this, once we're done, if this is going through, then we're going to broadcast the end game, which we haven't programmed anything yet, but we're just going to put this in now because we're going to have an end game screen here when it's over to get us back to where we want to. So we're going to call this end game. So this block here, when we guess wrong, it's going to play a noise. It's going to tell us it's wrong. Then it's going to check to see if your score is the new high score. And if it is, it's going to ask you for your name. It's going to store that. We're going to be in great shape. And then we're going to end the game by sending out this broadcast signal. Okay? And we're going to go from there, and we're going to rock and roll. And we're going to change. We got to add one more block. We're going to set the name to the answer, and we're going to change Andy's high score to the score. That's what we're going to do. All right, we're going to hide these. We don't want to show these. And we can also probably hide this list here now. We'll keep it for now. All right, so now let's go back here. That's a lot of stuff that we just did. Go back here to this when I receive red. So now what we can do under my blocks is I don't have to code this over and over and over again. I can just put game over right here. How awesome is that? So now what we're doing here, when it sees red, it's going to check, is it number one in the sequence? If it is, it's going to delete, it's going to play a noise, and it's going to switch the costume to red of the basketball. If it's wrong, it's going to kick us to game over, which is all that we just programmed. And so now we can just do this exact same thing. We're going to duplicate this block. All right, we're going to go right here. But now we're going to make it, let's see, what do we have next? We have blue. All right, I'm going to duplicate this again. We now have green. And one more duplication. I'm just right clicking in case you have not duplicated before. And we have white. Now, okay, so here we go. Now that we've got that figured out, let's go through and complete the rest of the code so that everything works. So here we go to finish this bad boy up, to get it rocking and rolling, and then you can spruce it up to your liking. We're going to start over here in the backdrops. All right, and we're going to need to make sure that we've got everything we need that we've designed. Okay, so in our backdrops, if you at this point haven't, you should have your main playing screen. That's what I have here at number 2. I have a winner screen and I have a start screen. Now my winner screen is right here, and I just want to add some text to this just so people know that they're winner chicken dinner. So I'm gonna pick some a color that might stand out here. There we go. I'm gonna type in winner chicken dinner. And then I'm going to move this. I'm going to make this, oh, that's pretty big. There we go. Right here in the middle. Winner chicken dinner. There's my winner screen. All right. So I'm good here. Winner screen, playing screen, start screen. Now, here's what we want to have here with our code. In our code for our backdrop, we have right here as before, when clicked, we're going to switch the backdrop to the start screen, and we're going to play our music. That's what's going to start things. We have when the S is pressed, this is what starts the game. We're going to go and broadcast begin game, and we're going to switch the backdrop to end game. All right, now we got to do a couple other things here. We're also going in here because we're going to eventually be hiding some variables and showing some variables. And so at this point, we want to hide the variable of the high score, and we want to hide the variable of the name. And now we're going to add another couple blocks of code here. We're going to drag over when I receive. All right, and we don't have this in here yet, but we're going to build out the new levels next. So we're going to put in next level. We're going to program this here. All right, and we're going to switch the backdrop to underwater. Or not underwater, geez, excuse me, to end game. When I receive next level, switch backdrop to end game. And then we're going to put in another one. When I receive winner. So when we win a level and we're ready to go to the next one, we want to have a celebration screen. So we're going to put winner. We're going to switch the backdrop to the winner screen. That's what we just created, the winner chicken dinner. We're going to play a sound. Let's add a sound here. Let's go. There's another one I really like called, I think it's called Dance Funky. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we're going to start the sound Dance Funky. We're going to celebrate when we win. And then we're going to put in a repeat block here. And we're going to change the color. And then we're going to put in a little wait block here. And we're going to do this repeat. What we're going to be doing here, this is going to change the color of the font that we just typed in on the screen. It's just going to flash it a whole bunch of times so that we have this pause. So as you beat one level, it's going to tell you congratulations, and it's going to reset itself to get ready for the next level, and it kind of gives you a little breather in there. And then we need to broadcast here. You guessed it. We're going to broadcast next level. And so now that we have this winner, when you get the right score, you type in the right sequence, say of the first level of 3, it's going to take you to the winner screen. It's going to play some music. The lights, the text is going to change color. Then it's going to broadcast next level, which is going to take us right back to where we were in the end game when we go to do that. And then we're going to put in here, clear the graphic effects, just so everything looks good. Alright, so our last thing that we need to put in here is one more. What happens when the game ends on here? So we need to put in when I receive end game. We are going to switch this backdrop back to the start screen. Alright, so we're going to switch to the start screen. We're going to start... let's see, dance magic, and then we're going to show the variables. At this point, we want to show the high score, and we want to show the name. So we want to know who those people are. Alright, so that's all done. All our basketball sprites are in good shape. So the last thing we want to go to here is our Andy, our sprite that changes all the different characters. And so let's make sure all our code is good to go. We have here, when clicked, he's going to be hidden. When we begin the game, he's going to show himself. All right. We have here, when I receive big game. So you can see that we got this twice. We can just solve this problem. I'm going to drag this show right there. I can delete that out. It's just going to clean up my code, make it look a little nicer. And so we're going to go right here. And let me see what I have for costumes for him. Okay, so I just duplicated him. I'm going to call this Andy Start, and I just want to have a color and a look to him that's different from all the other colors, just so we know that it's been reset. So I'm just going to change his jersey, actually. I'm going to ungroup his arm here. I want just the wristband. Let's make that a yellow. Let's make this... no, let's not make that. Let's make that like a pink. And then we can ungroup that. And then let's ungroup this. We'll just make his shoes different colors. Let's make that a hot pink. And let's make this a... Perfect. So, what we're going to do here now is we're going to put on here, when we go to begin game, we're going to show him, and we're going to switch his costume to the start screen. So we're going to switch costume to Andy Start. We're going to wait 1 second, and then we need to put in here a forever block. So now we want this to be able to loop. We need this to continue to scale to our next level. So now we're going to be building new levels in our game. So I'm going to go right here above, right below this wait. Okay, right there. I'm going to put in actually a wait 1 second, and this is for the next levels. We need this 1 second when we begin the game. This is going to be for when we scale levels as you progress through the game. So we've got that in here, and we're going to put in here, we're going to wait 1 second, we're deleting the sequence, and then let's put in a little thing where he tells us that the countdown timer is ready, so we're going to be prepared. So we're going to drag this over here, and we're going to say, are you ready? and then he's going to say 3, and we're going to do this like a timer for 1 second. We're going to say 2, and then 1. And now here with this repeat, before we just had just one level, but now we want this to actually be the score. So we had created this variable before. We're going to drag this score right in here, just like so. And we're going to start this score at a certain level, and then we're going to keep scaling up as we go through. So it's going to repeat the score, then it's going to pick the random colors, whatever that score number is. So if we are on a sequence of 8, it's going to pick 8 of them. All right, it's going to play the sound, and then it's going to do the sequence, just like we have had programmed before. Now, once we get out of this loop here, right here, this wait, we have this forever right in here. All right, we need to add a few more things. What we want to do here is after this block of this forever, okay, or excuse me, under this repeat, we're going to add another wait. And this one is we're going to wait until there's this block right here. And we're going to stick this right underneath that repeat block. And we're going to wait until another operator. We're going to wait until our score, or the length of the sequence, excuse me, not our score. I'm thinking score because it's going to change the score. But we're going to change this so like when the length of the sequence equals 0, we're going to send a broadcast. And we're going to broadcast winner. All right. And then we're going to change our score now by 1. Okay, so to repeat, once he tells us to go, it's going to pick whatever our score level's at. We're always going to default to 3. We'll program here in just a minute. It's going to show 3 colors, randomly selected, 1 through 4, red, blue, green, or white. Then we have to guess, and if we guess correctly, it eliminates it from the list. And when the list gets to 0, it's going to broadcast winner, which means that we have achieved that level, and we're going to go to the new level. It's going to change the score by 1. So we start with 3, now it's going to be 4, and it's going to have us do 4 colors. Make sense? Perfect. But what we want to do is we have to put in some code here now for when we receive the winner score. And so now what we're going to do, we're just about done, everybody. We are going to, when I receive winner, so when I receive winner, we're going to switch our costume. I'm going to move this to start. I'm going to have his color change. Okay. We're going to change the color so his jerseys and stuff is going to start to flash and blink, kind of like we did with the winner chicken dinner thing, the exact same process we did with the text. All right, so we're going to put this repeat in. We're going to make it for the exact same time or whatever. So we'll go 50. We're going to change the color. And we're going to put in a weight. 0.15. And then we're going to clear the graphics. And then we also have to put in over here a next level, because we also have to do some coding for him too when it receives the next level broadcast as well. So when I receive the next level, we need to switch costume to back to his start, and we're going to have him say next level. And then the last thing we're going to put in, because I don't think we have it in here anywhere. Nope. When I receive the end game, we want to hide him. So he's out of the way so the high score can be seen. Alright. I'm going to keep this list here just so we can keep track of things. You can see it, but our last and final step is we'll hide this so this is not applicable. So we're going to hit S. There's a, are you ready? He's going to count down. Okay, so two things that we've got to fix here. One, when we are under our Andy sprite, we originally had under the wait until the length of sequence is 0, this broadcast winner. We actually need this broadcast and wait block, broadcast winner and wait. The other thing we need to do, because it's never going to work, complete brain fart on my part, we need to actually code what these numbers are. So red is 1. Blue we want equal to 2 because it's the second one. We need green to be 3 and then white to be 4. And now we should be in good shape. So we're going to start with just one color. We have red. So in this case, we want to trigger the red basketball. We get it right. You can see everything changes to winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's coding. It's changing colors. Woohoo! Next level here. It's going to count down. And now this time we should have 2 colors. So you can see here, now we've got that sequence here. We have white. And then we had green, and you can see how the sequence deletes itself. So now this is going to continue to progress as we go through here. I'm going to pick the wrong answer this time so you can see what happens with the end game here. But this will just continue to go and see who can get the high score. So now we're up to 3. So we know that the first one is red, but I'm going to pick the wrong one on purpose. It should tell us game over. Wrong guess, game over. But we do have a new high score, so I can type in my name, Aaron, and we're going to have this stuff here. I just need to fix that high score on there, and then we're going to be good. The name's stored, and we're right back to the start screen. So the last 2 things that we need to do is we need to go to the high score, and we need to set Andy high score to the score, set name to answer, and then the last thing we need to do is we need to hide the list. So I'm going to click this box here, it's gone, and now our game is complete. Alright, my friends, I hope you found this helpful, enjoyable. I know it's not perfect, it's part of the journey as we go through things, but I hope that you found it quite helpful and exciting, and I would love to see how you remix this and make it your own. Alright guys, stay awesome.